Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of another preview that we're doing because I don't have a lot of time because I'm starting grad school and coaching and teaching. So I decided to bring in some friends, the guys that I know that follow League on closer than anyone else because they actually pay for a cable subscription to be in sports. It's Ceez and Bam. How are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Yes, how you
allegedly.
doing? Yeah, we're not pirating BN. We're not.
No.
No, no, that's what we're not doing. We're not sharing cable logins.
No, not
I
no.
don't- Is Feds watching? Because no, I'm not. Is the Feds watching? Can I kick it? Because I'm not.
Probably. Let's hope they're not. I hope the fans don't watch my show. That'd be very scary to get a show like, "Hey, sir, we gonna need the context says, he pirated."
Yeah.
No, we're giving those corporations all the money that they've earned.
Yeah, we've unfortunately given BN our viewership for very long.
Yeah,
Right. I believe it. I believe it. Well, man. Before we get started, dude, how's everything going on with y'all? It's been a while since we had y'all on, man.
we made a podcast still going.
Barely.
We're still around 5+ years. Still haven't missed a week of uploading. Yeah, we're still going. Excited for the new season. Kinda. Yeah, I don't know. Cease, what do you think?
He's a Debbie Downer. I'm hyped for this season. I've been watching way too much. I feel like there was so many transfers that I'm like, my hardest thing is trying to keep up with games to like see some players play. Like I'm watching Arsenal, I'm watching Crystal Palace game. I'm like, I can't. I'm jumping around so much, but it's been a lot of fun, and I think this is going to be a crazy year because we have a World Cup in the middle of the season in winter. It's going to be wild, and good thing we're all on podcast, so we get to talk about it. I'm excited for it. And
You know, actually, I don't get really excited until the transfer window's closed. So that I'm like annoyed right now. Like these 2 weeks, I'm annoyed. I'm like, come on, they're like, can everybody just get settled and then we can like get into the season?
you didn't agree to personal terms. They've agreed to personal terms. It's personal terms agreed.
Yeah, it's like I hate rumors. I'm just like, can we get everybody to their stable, please?
You know how it's gonna go, man. And then like the last day is gonna be like, well, this player's going here, and then he's like in a whole other country with a jersey.
He's like he's still in the same damn team for 4 years.
Right. He's staying there. He's staying there forever. Well, man, I'm excited to talk about League because I hate to say it, like it's one of the more it's probably the most underrated out of the big five. When you talk about Germany, Spain, Italy, England, and of course France. But for real, it's like a lot of the talent that you see on the top stage come from France, like Kingsley Coleman, half of the Arsenal squad during the Invincible era, a lot of Serie A. Like it seems like a lot of key players come out of Ligue 1, but they get the reputation of, oh, it's a farmers league, oh, it's this. I want to ask you guys this: like, why do France have this reputation of being a farmers league? And is it kind of like a positive turn of sorts?
I think mostly it's because the French team hasn't won Champions League since the early '90s, since like cross colors era. I think that's why mostly. They won't even get credit for going to the semifinals or anything like that. A French team has to win Champions League, and if it's PSG, they got to like win 2 times in a row. That's the only real reason I can think of, because I don't think people can say, oh, it's because PSG wins the league all the time, because in the past like 5-6 years they've lost the league twice, and Bayern Munich wins the league every year. Juve won the league for 10 years straight, and so you can't really say that, but I think it's because they haven't won Champions League as a country.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like the big winners have been from the 3 big leagues, right? Like Spain and Germany and England. Those have been kind of the heavy hitters with the most money as well too. It's only been up until recently that Ligue has kind of got a team that has income, which is PSG, and large enough to acquire players and move them, and like especially the big Neymar. Neymar was kind of like brought like a lot of like more eyes to the league when that big transfer happened, because everybody was so curious on why a superstar would leave one of the biggest teams in the world in Barcelona. and go to PSG, you know, and it just started this whole wave of move and soap opera and drama. But that it is absolutely an underrated league, not just for the big transfers, but I think also for the teams that are not considered big. They are underrated and a ton of talent. And like you said before, how many players come out of France? Look how big France's national team is. There's a lot of talent coming out of France right now, and that talent is also showing within Ligue 1 too, because some of those teams are getting results against against clubs with a lot bigger budgets and stuff and bigger leagues.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a perfect point about like France's national team, about how like their B team, maybe even their C team, can qualify for a World Cup and make a run. Like that's how crazy depth it is. Like I think what was it last year we were having a discussion of like, what does France's midfield look like? And it was literally like 10 out of the top 20 midfielders in the world. Like that's insane.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, and obviously we're going to talk about Ligue 1, but as somebody who watches Ligue 1 a lot these past like 3-4 years, there's French midfielders that are ridiculous that will never see the national team. Where like I would tell Caesar, like Real Madrid needs to get this guy, and like this guy's still playing in Ligue 1. And so it is a really deep league, and I mean, I'm sorry, it's a really deep talent pool. You know, way more than like England. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And another one was like, I mean, recently Camavinga is having a hard time cracking a call up right now because the team is so deep. You know, like he was like on the U21 squad when they had the Nations League game. He couldn't even get on the senior team. It's running so deep. So people were talking about the Belgium golden era. France's golden era is like times 2 of what even Belgium has. So it's kind of crazy to see right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. And one last thing, like I remember that the last time you was on the show, we were talking about transfers and things like that. It seems like France, probably more than any other country in Europe, benefits a lot from that African talent pool. You know, Morocco, Tunisia, cultural Algeria, the Ivory Coast, Ghana. It seems like they benefit the most from it. It seems like a lot of players is like they'll try their longest to hold on to that French citizenship, and then when they realize like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to crack this team. All right, let me go and transition over to my African country.
Yeah, one of the worst ones. Oh my god. Probably like 2018 season. I was watching Condobia on Valencia that year, and he was killing it. And I was like, France gotta call him up. Like I'm screaming, like this is the best defensive midfielder playing like in the world right now. France gotta call him up. They did not, and his ass went and said, "Okay, I'll play for the Central African Republic." I'm like, okay, that's cool, but you know, I think he had gotten called up like once or twice by France, but it had been a long time. And yeah, he just could not get that call up. But he was, I mean, and he still is a very good player. I don't know if like anybody saw him playing for Atleti last year against Man City. He was ridiculous.
Really good.
But yeah, top midfielder at that time, could not crack France team.
Yeah. And France has, like you said, France has had, it seems to be, if you're a player that's playing anywhere out of AFCON and you know you're looking to get a segue into Europe, kind of like I think how Brazil, a lot of players, the default to get to Europe is to go to Portugal if they're not able to get the visas to go there. It seems to be easier for them to get like a plane visa to go play in France, and especially with some of the connections some of those countries have with African countries. It seems to be easier for them to be able to go and play in a very strong league, and that's how we see a lot of this talent come up, right? A lot of this talent that seems to sneak in between, and other leagues are able to swoop on that. We've seen that the Monaco team over the years get completely upheaved with like talent being grabbed. to a Chemi now going to France, to going to Real Madrid, and Camavinga, you know, coming out of was it Stade? He was a Stade, right?
Stade Rennais, yeah.
Stade Rennais. So yeah, there's so much talent that has a better opportunity of making a shine, and of course, not all the players are from Africa. A lot of players are just families have immigrated from Africa to and have already lived in France previously. But Yeah, it seems about a lot easier, and there's a lot more families and origin there that have started off, at least population wise, than some of the other countries around them.
Yeah, fairly so. Fairly so. Well, guys, let's go ahead. Let's dive into this league one time. I think the team that probably all people are going to expect us to talk about first is the team that probably runs league. The team that seems to have an unlimited budget. The team that as soon as you play with them in one season on FIFA, you're kind of like, what do I do now? It's PSG. And last year, so real quick, last year there was a lot of hype around this team. One, they got Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. It was all talks about his name. Is Mbappe going to leave to go to Real Madrid? How is Pochettino going to handle the locker room? The expectations were high. Definitely coming off, 2 seasons before with Tuchel getting to Champions League final. Then I believe last season, 2021, Tuchel leaves in the middle of the season. Pochettino comes. They make a deep run to the Champions League again, knocking off Bayern Munich, but failing to win Ligue 1. It kind of seems like this year, last year they won Ligue 1. What is the ending goal for PSG? Is it still to win the Champions League, or with big players and them kind of changing how they want to direct things, is it now kind of being settled into that top 5 team market?
PSG's their goal is to win Champions League. Like that's it. I mean, it kind of sucks because it is a young team. It's a young team in the sense that they were founded in 1970. Mm-hmm. So winning the league should have more priority for them because there's other teams that have won the league more than them. But their thing is Champions League, and PSG is the team that got me into soccer actually because I remember like just wanting to watch. I'm like asking Caesar, what do I watch? Like, what should I watch? And I'm like, where's the, what's the channel that has soccer? And he's like, BN. I'm like, okay, I'm scrolling trying to find it, and I come across a PSG versus Lorient match, and I see this angel from above playing so wonderfully. I'm like, who is this guy? His name is Edinson Cavani, and so I started watching PSG a lot because I loved Cavani. But since that time, I feel like PSG has. It didn't take me long to learn that they do some of the worst business out of any of the, like when you're talking about the top 5 like big teams, they do some of the worst business. When Messi came last year, Caesar and I were on the record saying that it's not going to work. There's no way that it's going to work on the field because you have Neymar and Messi. They do the same thing now. And then you're going to force Mbappe to play as a center forward, and he's not. He's a left winger. And ultimately, we saw that against Real Madrid. What was that? Was that round of 16?
Yep, first round.
Yeah,
insane draw.
In the round of 16, that was a fishy draw actually.
Well, remember it got redrawn because I think PSG at first had Manchester United.
Yep.
And they were trying to do Messi Ronaldo.
Oh,
I was like, really? Really?
We were all like, all right, come on now.
Come on, man. Yeah. What the hell is that?
Exactly. But we saw that it just was, all last season, even though they won the league by like 15 points or something like that, it never clicked. Never. Like they played bad football up and down. They finished the season, I think it was 4 losses and 8 draws. Just bad football. They didn't reach 90 points as they had the past few years. And like PSG, and to bring it to recent times, Mbappe doesn't leave last year. We have our theories about that. I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but we do have our theories based on facts. And there was all this speculation about how much power he's going to have now. And now we see him getting into issues with Neymar over penalties, and Neymar's liking tweets, all kinds of drama. Caesar's cousin over there is liking tweets.
Yo, twice removed. But no, he's absolutely right. I think that your original question was, do you think their intention is to win Champions League? I'm going to just go ahead and say I don't think so. I don't think their intention is to win Champions League. I feel like the direction of the team has been to sell seats, has been to renegotiate TV contracts. It's been to increase as much star power as possible to sell out shirts and build their brand. You know, PSG famously said that Mbappe staying and their direction is to better French football. I don't believe that's true. I believe that their direction is to increase their profits, make their share, make the Qatar government happy, and so and so. Because if your objective was to win Champions League, you would make the moves tactically to improve your team while also working on developing youth talent. Whenever PSG has youth talent coming up, they move them out quickly.
Prime example is Xavi Simmons, who recently I just found out went to PSV Eindhoven.
Not even that. The biggest one was Nkunu from
Nkunku.
they let him go, and he's on a top 30 Ballon d'Or. Like now probably it's gonna be Colin Window. He's gonna be another one's gonna be out of here. Like there's a lot of talent they just offload and they prefer to get players like Icardi and stuff. You're not going to tell me your objective is to win and when you do this. Like it doesn't seem right, especially with the three-headed monsters we have here. They're all great players, but they're not all great players that are built to be together. Look at BBC. That was like 2 wingers and a striker. Look at MSN, 2 wingers and a striker. This is literally 3 wingers. 3 wingers and a guy that likes to play cam and another one likes to play center mid. So like it's not going to work tactically. We've seen it time and time again, and PSG's objective is, I think, to sell seats and tickets.
So I want to ask you guys this question more so about Mauricio Pochettino. Last year, the last year and a half since he's been there, he got a lot of flack for not understanding how to use Messi and Neymar and Mbappe. Is it fair to put the most of the blame on him for why PSG kind of had that dip? Or is it fair to say, like, it was pretty much an impossible task of having to deal with team? Because we've seen managers in the past leave PSG going to have great success. Thomas Tuchel, other managers leave. Yeah. Is it fair to say Pochettino got a raw deal here?
I'm gonna blame the English media because they made it seem like this guy is some kind of amazing manager and he has no trophies to his name. I remember on one episode, me and Caesar like went through and like calculated the amount of trophies he could have won in England. And it was like, I don't know, like 70 or something like that.
Yeah, he was like 0 for like 71 or something. It was a crazy number.
Something crazy.
It was a crazy stat.
Not even a Carabao Cup, like nothing.
It's true.
So I never looked at Pochettino as some kind of like amazing tactical genius. I watched Tottenham. It's not really that crazy. But at the same time, I don't know if it was his decision to bring in Messi. I doubt it. But nobody was going to make that work. There's no way you can have, like today, Messi and Neymar do the exact same thing. When Neymar was at Barcelona, he hugged that far line. He was a left winger. He hugged that line. Mm-hmm. And Messi was coming in from the right side and dropping back a little bit, but not as much as he does now. Messi will drop below the halfway line now. Like he's coming to get the ball because he's not trying to run. And then you force Mbappe to like, he has to adjust. And Mbappe is an amazing talent, so he's going to score his goals no matter what. But like, you're forcing him to like come try to get the ball from them. He's not playing his natural position. And then half the time they were playing Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, and Di Maria. So that was like, I don't know what you're doing at that point. I'm not going to blame Pochettino for their lack of, getting to where they needed to go. I do think that he was in over his head a bit. I do feel like the players probably didn't care about what he had to say. The management or whoever makes the decisions did not care about what he had to say. And what are you going to do? At least he won the league. That's his first trophy ever in his life. He won the league in France with PSG.
Well, technically second because they like to claim to say he won the French Super Cup when he first got there.
Come on,
but, you know how we are.
He's right. That's 2.
He's only saying that because Real Madrid just won the UEFA Super Cup. It's
an important trophy.
Right. Well, a team that probably caught everyone's lowering affection. During the 2021 season, a team that definitely caught my attention. I thought like I hate to say this, well, not I hate to say this, but it always seems as if every couple of years, maybe 5 or 6 years, we have a team that full of young talent that gets pulled apart because they're about to reach their ethos of like Ajax. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we remember that team, the Monaco team with Mbappe and all of them. They were like, if this team could stay together, they could be challengers, but then they get pulled apart. That Lille team that won the league in 2021 didn't quite reach their heights again because, granted, their manager moves to Nantes. But also, it just felt as if like nobody was really clamoring for that talent there, and it was really good talent there. What's going on with Lille? Are they able to challenge this year? Are they able to get back to the heights of where they were in 2021, or are we kind of see Lille kind of fall back to fourth, fifth, sixth position team?
I think Lille's gonna have a tough year. I think they've lost probably one of their more integral players. Their 10, which was Sanchez. Sanchez is now a PSG player. One of the things that really irks me across all leagues is top 3, top 5 inter-team transfers. It murders me. Like the classic thing where Bayern is able to just swoop on so much Dortmund talent. And so where's the real contention? Because they're just getting off the best players off the second-seeded, third-seeded teams. Like it's hard it's hard as a club that doesn't have as big a budget to turn away such a high transfer fee, and it's hard to retain that talent. It's hard to tell the player, no, you can't go to the team of your dreams. You got to play here at Lille. Sorry, dog. Like it's a tough situation where you just kind of got to accept it. But Lille won that league through and through. They had a dope team. They're running a cool like 4-4-2. They had Sanchez there. They had the Turkish player. What's his name again?
Burak Yilmaz.
Yilmaz along top with Jonathan David, young Canadian. They had a good mix. And in the beginning, Jonathan David was a little getting used to his legs under him coming from Belgium. But then he started picking up steam and started scoring hella goals and being 2-footed. I think he's a phenomenal, bright young talent in France, and hopefully gets someone that gets an opportunity as well. But yeah, Lille's gonna have a hard time. They have a lot of big pieces in the midfield that moved around, and it's gonna be hard for them to adjust. Especially Sanchez. Sanchez is such an impact player, where not only is he like a threat where he hustles defensively, he's all over the field, but he has good ball possession and makes things happen offensively. You know, that wasn't necessarily something that PSG needed at all in their team. They did not need another ball possession midfielder, but they just went and signed him anyways. So that sucks for Lille. And I think it's going to be tough for them. Lyon made some good moves this offseason. We'll see what Marseille is going to do with what they did. I think it's going to be tough for Lille to win a league, but I think they can still get at least like a Europa League or Champions League spot this season.
Yeah. Go Bam, my fault.
That season where Lille won the league, they had the best defense in the league. Gaultier had them just so disciplined. They had Jose Font and and the guy that went to I think Sven Botman. Them two
went to Newcastle.
Yeah, they were holding it down in the back. They had Reynaldo playing left back. Yeah. I think they had the Turkish right back. I kind of forgot his name too, but and then the midfield was really good defensively too. I remember watching them that season, and that Jonathan David, he's really the reason they won the league. He scored that goal in the 1-0 defeat of PSG, where he like got injured on that play and just stood up and ended up scoring that goal. And that was the goal that like won them the league. But since then, yeah, I think they finished like 10th last year. Yeah, when Gaultier left, they just lost a lot. And honestly, Lille is not, like they won the league. It was like, wow, like that's a big deal. But they were punching above their weight. Like they're not one of the top teams in France like that. Like Monaco and Lyon and Marseille and like there's some other teams that like have more money than Lille at least, and like a bit more cachet. But yeah, I mean that goes to show you it's not a farmers league when Lille running a 4-4-2 with like two not even so athletic forwards up there are able to win the league.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to say Renato Sanchez has like the craziest career path from going from Benfica to Bayern to Swansea to Lille, now to PSG. Just doesn't make sense. But I'll be remiss if I didn't ask you guys this question. Timothy Weah, is he it feels like there's like an imaginary ceiling in front of him in which he can't consistently crack through. We saw that at PSG, and then he comes to Lille. Is this the year he finally cracks through and gets it? Because we see the talent with the men's national team. Are we going to see it with the club?
Yeah, I think Timothy Way, he has a lot of speed. I think that there's like, I think my issue with him, it seems to me he's been a raw player for a long period of time. Like since I've seen him first, when he made those random PSG appearances to moving over to Lille, I don't see like a base. Like when he plays, I don't see him have like base. Like sometimes when you see a player get the ball and he's standing there on 2 feet, he looks like he's there, like he's comfortable, he's able to go either way and make directions. Way it feels like it's a lot going on, high speed action, and it works well for men's national team, because especially when they play bigger teams, they don't play a possession based offense. They play a lot of counterattacks. They're throwing the ball in there, and that's gonna work for a player with speed and just you're just active and you're moving. But you know, Lille, they're a team that does a lot of setup. They do some setup, and it becomes tough for him. He's also a tweener. I think tweener players have a hard time figuring out like what's their position going to be. You know, I think there's a part of him that thinks he's a striker, and people believe a striker. But a lot of times, and I've seen him play at the right mid position and kind of like playing on a winger. Being a tweener is extremely difficult to figure out, and it sometimes just takes like the maturation process. When you get a little older and maybe you slow down a little bit more, like it puts your game, it makes you work on the fundamentals of your game, like the passing, the dribbling. And that's where you kind of see players blossom sometimes. I think it's going to take him that process if he's willing to put that work in, of course. That's on him. You know, it's hard for players who've had dads that are legends. Like literally his dad is incredible player, like one of the greatest. It's hard for players whose fathers are legends to like get that going because of how they were raised and how they've been coached since they're young. It's a different access for them point. So I he can do it, but it's honestly incumbent on him to develop those skill set to become that player and break that ceiling.
Right. I honestly, okay, I'm gonna give some respect to Timothy Weah. He did go play for Celtic for a little bit, and I can respect that.
Big Celtic.
You didn't go to Rangers. No, I'm just joking. But I've watched him play a bit. And honestly, like when Caesar was saying tweener, like I'm thinking like he's like a right back, really. Like, and I'm not even trying to hate. Like, I think Timothy Weah would be really good at right back. I'm not sure.
Play a right back. Yeah, I think he played a game at like right wing back or something like that once.
Maybe. I think he did. I don't want to say it was Celtic.
I think he did. That's not a bad position.
I think in Lille he did. I think.
Yeah, remember like Victor Moses was a right wing back for Chelsea. Yeah. It's possible.
Yeah, and honestly, I could see him as a right back in a back four. Like he is a bit raw going forward. He ends up making some good plays. I mean, he plays with good players, and I think France is a great place to develop. But kind of like how Caesar was saying, like you haven't seen that development really blossom. Like, oh wow, like now I see it now. But I feel like if he was to play right back, and especially for the U.S. men's national team, like he'd be like prime Yedlin, even better, because he has more skills offensively than Yedlin had at least. So I feel like in that position, at least for the U.S. men's national team, we would see a lot from Timothy Weah.
Facts. Well, guys, I think you guys give me a little bit of hope on getting my men's national team Tim Weah jersey, maybe. But a team in the south of France that, you know, I follow personally, Olympique Marseille. And to me personally, I always feel as if like Marseille should be the second best team in France. Have they shown that year in, year out? Absolutely not. And I don't know what it is. I kind of just feel as if like, and I was talking to Jake about this. They remind me of a team that they kind of prioritize one position, one league over the other. Like one year is like, all right, we're gonna go all in on the league. Next year it's like, all right, we're gonna go all in on the cup. Then the next year is like, all right, we're gonna go all in on Europe. And it never seems to pan out. What is it with Marseille? Why can't they get over the hump and stop hurting me?
Marseille, you know, they're one of those teams like when I was watching PSG more, like PSG was stomping them out, and it was embarrassing.
I think
Because, and
they went 10 games or like 5 years without beating PSG.
it was something crazy, and it was also like y'all shouldn't be losing this bad. Like it's really not like you got good players, dude. Like why are you just capitulating to PSG? But I feel like in the last couple seasons, when PSG's football has not been that great, Marseille's been able to kind of take advantage of it. And obviously, last year being their most successful season in a while, finishing second and playing, in my opinion, playing the like really the best football in France. Obviously, not every game was beautiful, but like especially in the beginning of the season, it was just beautiful. It was sweet. St. Pauli last season, he's weird. They were playing some weird formations. They had midfielders playing on the forward line, and somehow like it got Jerson like 13 goals or something like that. But Marseille is like this season. Obviously, St. Pauli left. They're saying that he was upset about players coming in. I don't really necessarily believe that because he left early, and there wasn't like no players were coming in yet. I think he just wanted to leave. There was a big language barrier for him, and maybe it was just tough. There's a lot of pressure at Marseille. We've seen the fans burn down some stuff a couple years ago. But I think this season, although a lot of the French media is saying that they won't be as good as last season, I can see him being as good as last season again too. They brought in the Colombian Luis Suarez. They brought in or is he from Ecuador?
He's Colombian.
Colombian. They still have Bakambu. Obviously, Dimitri Payet is still a baller. They have, in my opinion, one of the best midfielders in the world, Matteo Guendouzi. The back line is a bit rougher from last season. They had to Saliba left back to Arsenal, and for some reason, Luan Perez left. I was really upset about that, and I think he went to Turkey. But they have really good players, and hopefully this coach. And they also Nuno Tavares at left back, really good. I think they're bringing in a right back too.
Yeah, they got Klaus, and Klaus is pretty good.
Yeah, they got Klaus, really good. I don't know much about this coach, but in the first two games, what I've seen, it's been decent. They won a match. They drew to Brest, but Brest is a good team. And yeah, I think if you're watching the season, I don't think you'll be disappointed.
All right. So I shouldn't be disappointed, but they did pick up a former Inter player who's also a former Manchester United player, former Arsenal player, Alexis Sanchez. Real quick, before we move to the next point, what do we expect from him this year? Is he looking to be partner with Dimitri Payet, who seems to never want to retire? And I have a wild prediction on Dimitri Payet, but I'm going to save it for the end of the show.
I mean, maybe Sanchez, maybe St. Pauli left because Sanchez coming back to town. He's like, yo, I'm the reason that I ran that man's knees off. That's my fault. On that Chile team, I ran them to the ground, and all those players ended up all over on the world. That dude's playing is subbing in over at Mineiro in Brazil, and now Sanchez is playing it in Marseille. And I'll say this: I think Sanchez is one of the most electrifying players I've ever seen on that first season of Arsenal. It was like he was on X Games mode. He was just couldn't be stopped. Crosses, goals, high speed action. And it was the same year, I think he was also doing a lot of Chile work. He was probably playing like 70 games a year that season. You could see that had an effect long term, where you see the decline sooner for a player that I think was built to have a pretty good career with his size, his speed. It could have really worked out. It's been tough. Italy's always a good league to go to if you don't have to become a pace dependent player. Italy's great, and also Italy's great for developing another aspect of your game that's not pace dependent. I think he had a pretty decent the first couple of years first year at Marseille. Inter was kind of weird during COVID, and it says he has 12 goals all in his time at 2 years at Inter. I don't remember seeing anything electrifying from him back then. It's kind of like I think at Marseille he can become a good player. Someone that you can I think he can become. No, I disagree with you, dog. I don't think he's gonna be doing world breaking stuff. No, I don't think he's better than Under. I think Under is a baller. Like Under, that's a young talent. Like he can get it cracking. I don't know if Alexi can do all that, but I think he just kind of like be pretty serviceable and help the team out. It's all gonna be incumbent on how well Jerson, Guendouzi, and Payet can carry that team. Like Jerson gained all kind of confidence last season, his ability, and showed out what he can do. He had a crazy move last week where he like kicked the ball over the guy's head and ran around him. Jerson's feeling himself out there, and that's great because confidence can be the biggest thing to make up for what you're missing. I don't know. Marseille did lose Saliba, who was a phenomenal shutdown defensive talent, and he had a little mistake at the Arsenal, but he's been playing great for Arsenal as well too. He had that little blunder, but he's been playing phenomenal for Arsenal as well, and that's going to be tough to play, especially Luan Perez also leaving. That's going to be tough. It's a lot of big shoes to fill, and I don't think Marseille's going to do great this year, but I think that they'll still like at least get like a Conference League spot or something like that. I don't know if they're going to do great this year though.
Okay.
I don't see it, dog. I don't see it.
Okay, let me say this about Alexis Sanchez.
You lost a tie to Brest. Come on, yo.
No, Brest is good. Brest is good. Let me say this about Alexis Sanchez as Inter. I did see him.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. You repeating over Brest is good. Brest is good.
No, Brest. Yeah. Okay. I seen Alexis Sanchez at Inter get a red card, and his second yellow was a dive. I do remember that. But Alexis Sanchez, honestly, like he's a bit like Eden Hazard now. Like the things that he had that made his game good, he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah. He relied on a lot of athleticism.
Yes, and he just doesn't have that. He doesn't have that anymore. And France is not like, if you don't have those lungs and that athleticism, France is not the place for you because they play fast and there's a lot of speed on that field.
Yeah.
And nobody's like intimidated by you. But what was I going to say about Alexis Sanchez? I do feel like I feel like they brought in Alexis Sanchez for his attitude. He's a hard worker.
He's grit.
You know, he has a lot of grit, and I feel like, you know, sometimes you can have like this season, Marseille is in Champions League. You do need a lot of players, but you also need like a good mentality because there's going to be a lot of fatigue and things like that. When you have a player who has a high motor, who is known to have a high motor and like a great attitude, who's also the number one MVP at the bank. I think he's the highest paid EPL player ever. That's a good person to have.
Yeah, I feel that. I will say this though about Marseille, and I can say this because I follow this team somewhat. When it comes to Europe, I expect some level of disappointment to come regardless, whenever. So I'm just preparing myself for it.
France don't do too great in Europe. I'm sorry. It makes me sad, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If they get a point out of group stage, I'll be happy.
No. Oh my god. Jeez. Well, we'll wait and see. Another team that, you know, we talk about youth talent, how France is like a pipeline. I feel like Monaco, that should be their slogan. Like wherever their club mantra, it should just be F it, play the kids. Because when they do that, they are balling. Even like we talked about previously, like I think it was 2017. Yeah, 2017, that Monaco team with Kylian Mbappe, Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho. Like you look at that team now, and then you go look at the EPL, you're like, oh, he was at Monaco. Oh, he was at Monaco. Oh, he was at Monaco. And it's just
he's in jail.
Very much so. Very much so. Monaco, man, it just I will say this though. It seems as if like Monaco, for all the youth prospects they have, they will make one weird transfer that doesn't seem to compete with you. Like a couple of years ago, it was like Kevin Volin, and then it was Cesc Fabregas. What is going on with Monaco, man? It's kind of like they're stuck in between what they should be and what they want to be and aspire to be.
I'll say this. I think Monaco deserves a lot of respect for their player management and scout department. I think they do a really good job of not only identifying youth talent and bringing through their ranks. Also, they do a good job of finding players that are like not a star in this say, but they know they can be effective on their team. Like another, I know they just signed Mohamed Kamara from Leipzig, and not from Leipzig, from Salzburg, the CDM from Salzburg. He's a really good young talent. Like they get these players that like in your head, you'd be like, that'd be kind of dope, and they go and do it. Amino is a really good signing because Amino may not be a star, but like on a Monaco team, he can provide a lot to like help a lot of the youth talent. Diop is becoming one of the better wingers in Ligue 1 now. And I remember when me and Bam like basically watched him first time, he was like a skinny little kid coming on a field with a big old jersey and just running around. And now look at the commitment to the development of the players. They do a good job of that. I think we saw with Tuchemi. Now that he's gone, the only thing that was tough is it's hard to find big players that are a big part of your possession and resetting and switch play offense. That's tough. It's always hard to find talent like that. CDMs like that aren't every day. You can actually count them on your hands. Some of the best CDM / deep center mid switch play big defenders. He's at Real Madrid now, which is great for his future. But now I think Monaco's kind of trying to figure out their identity again, how they're going to play moving forward. You see a little bit of like the growing pains while they had to do their qualifiers matches for was it Champions League? Yeah, Champions League qualifiers. Yeah. They had a tough time. They couldn't get it done because they're just not really, they don't know where that ball's supposed to go. Watch Real Madrid, 60% of the possession goes on the left side of the field. Monaco has a hard time kind of figuring out what they're supposed to do, but constant dedication to that youth talent. And even in seasons where it almost hurt them in relegation, where they had some tough seasons a couple back, they stay firm to it, and you see the results of last year. And hopefully, and it's a great team to watch, and there's a lot of young talent to keep ahead of too.
Monaco was one late goal away from finishing second. I think the dude, I think it was a 4-4 match or something like that against Lens last season. If they would have won that match, they would have finished second and would have been in Champions League group stage instead of Marseille. So Monaco's a good team. I didn't watch them a lot last season, just a little bit, but they still have Ben Yedder. They still have Golovin, Gelson Martin.
Volland is a baller for them too.
They still have Volland. They still have some of those players. They still have Diop. But watching them early this season, you do absolutely see the absence of Tchouaméni. You do absolutely see it because he was just a stalwart in that midfield. Mm-hmm. But if any team can figure that out, it is Monaco. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Disasi in the midfield. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. And Monaco is the second richest team in Ligue 1. I expect them to finish in the top 5, no matter what.
So, Ben, I want to ask you this question real quick because you mentioned a good point on how Monaco is the second richest team, but they don't normally take the trend of teams with a wealthy state of money. They're Monaco, for God's sake. It is rich. It is I think the famous quote about Monaco is you can walk into a grocery store and be the poorest person in the grocery store making $12 million a year. That's insane. But it seems as if when it comes to Monaco, their trend is buy cheap, sell high. And you would think with the money that's there in Monaco, they should be competing every year with PSG, Man City. Why? Well, why is that not the thing for Monaco? They're criticizing, but why isn't it?
I think they had that model before. I think if we're looking at the Falcon team, how much they get for Hamas was almost 100 million or something like that. Not for Falcon. They spent an obscene amount of money on those players, and the results were pretty similar. They didn't have crazy differences in the results. I think that as the Kylian Mbappe happened, and they received a ton of money off that as well too, off the first year loan, then eventual transfer. Which was I think a French French league record breaking transfer, especially interleague. I think they've noticed that, especially in the Leonardo Jardim era, where he was so good at acclimating young talent within veteran players that are talented. It's we don't need to get a world breaker because we can still get similar results, almost win the league, get top 5 and get pretty close with developing youth talent and just getting some veteran players to fill in that space. It becomes, I think, a decision of cost risk. And I think that they kind of did the numbers and they looked at saying financially, we're in a better place if we spend low and finish lower than if we spend high and finish lower. Because never forget, they still had that season after that they lost was it quarterfinals or semifinals?
I think
Yeah,
so.
where they like almost finished like 13th or something. It was like a really bad year for them the season after. Then Falcon went to Galatasaray. So it seems like it's better for them to just kind of focus on, getting players like Gelson, Supermarket, Martins, like we call them, and players like that who can make an impact and at the end of the day, they're not costing a lot. But if a lot of these young players come up, it just helps them out financially. They don't have this infinite. They don't have to spend this infinite well of money that Barcelona wishes they had.
And okay, you know what? Let me actually fix that because I don't know if they're actually the second richest team, but they pay the second highest salary.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know if like Monaco makes as much money as a Lyon or Marseille. Actually, when I think about it, they probably don't, but they pay their players a lot. So maybe part of that money that they end up getting for Mbappe and like Chouameni, like that goes into the players' salaries more than different things. But also when you think about, Monaco, like what star player wants to go there really? Like it's not one of those teams that's
they
like
aren't the biggest. They're the fourth. It's PSG, Lyon, and Marseille, then them.
Yeah, but they pay the second highest salaries.
Yeah, but they pay that side. But the biggest budgets are the other two. Yeah.
But what team, like what big player is going to want to go there? They don't have ultras really. Like
what's the appeal?
Their stadium is usually not even halfway filled. Like
it's
nice all of the supporters are out on the yacht. That's why.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
don't be dissing the Louis Dunn now. Don't be dissing the Louis Dunn, dog. Come on, no.
No, me and Caesar
had to choose between a football match and a yacht.
Yeah, exactly.
They're probably watching the TV on the yacht right now.
Yeah. So, but I feel like Monaco, like Caesar was saying, like it makes more sense to develop youth talent, get the young guys, and bring in coaches that are like really good. Like even when they tried to get a star coach, they tried to bring in Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry is out there yelling at the guy saying, "How come you're not as good as me?" Basically. So even with that, it's like, why don't we do something that is like a kind of a proven track record for us, getting young talent, developing them, and not just young talent, like really good young players. They brought in Falcao, like Caesar was saying, they brought in Falcao, but the reason why they went to that semifinal wasn't just Falcao, it was Mbappe too. Like that was the revelation. Yeah. So, and he was like, me and Caesar remember he was like number like 39 out there with that huge
18 step overs.
Yeah, like his first professional season.
Yeah.
But Monaco,
the game that made me realize that Mbappe was about that life was that Man City game. And I was like, that's a Ballon d'Or winner.
Everybody turned up that game. Everybody. Falcon had that chip on Joe Hart. Yeah, it was nuts.
And me and Caesar were watching him like for even before that.
Yeah.
And we're saying like this guy is going to be really good, hoping that he would not go to PSG, but lo and behold.
Well,
no, yeah.
It's gonna happen. A team that normally challenges the rest of Ligue that still baffles you, that brought back Andre Lacazette, is Lyon. And I get a little depressed with Lyon sometimes because they're I guess you guys can consider the only thing that I have about Ligue 1 is like outside of PSG, there are a lot of teams that should be a lot better in the European continent, but they're just like, But Lyon has done wonders. They got into semifinals in the Champions League back in 2021. I can't remember how they did last year in Europe. No, they got to I think either a quarterfinals or a semifinals of the Europa League. They seem to be one of the better teams. What do we expect out of Lyon going into this year with Lacazette coming back there to his home ground?
Lyon is the number one team to like fumble on the smaller clubs. That's where they lose their points is against like Angers and like Troyes and Lorient. Like they lose points on those clubs. For some reason, especially last season, it was really frustrating. They would just end up giving up goals late all the time, I feel like they're defensively, they're not that strong. And I feel like I haven't really seen them be that strong defensively ever, really. They got Boateng back there. that was like whatever. They used to, they never really had a good defensive setup, and it would hurt them. They would end up giving up goals late, even when they had great players. I mean, when they had to pay, everybody outside of the defense was like a phenomenal player. Houssem Aouar, like they even got Kakare, who was really good. They got Paqueta. They have Moussa Dembele. They have Tino Kadewere, who's really good. Toko Ekambi. Like all these guys are really good. When they had Maxwell Cornet, who's gone now, but really good players. But outside of that one Champions League season, which that was the asterisk year. That was like when they were playing one. Like they beat Man City, but they only played one leg.
And I think like also they didn't have to worry about the domestic competition because that got canceled.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, they did beat Juve too, but that was the asterisk Champions League. But Lyon is they're always going to challenge. I mean, last year they didn't do that well. They had some good matches, but mostly it's because giving up goals late. But they have really good talent. I do feel like some of them players should leave by now. Like I feel like Aouar, like you might as well like try to get some big money for him. Alexander Lacazette, though, I did watch the first match. He was okay. I think it's going to take him a while to like figure it out. They might try to do something where him and Moussa Dembele are playing at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work, but I like Lacazette coming back. Another one who got played out by France being so good by not going to that 2018 World Cup.
Yeah, off for like a 30 goal year or something. He had a crazy year in France. It was nuts. I can't believe he didn't get called up, especially when Benzema wasn't allowed to play. So yeah, that team is weird. I mean, last season they were like top 10 in goals allowed in the league. Like they gave up the most goals out of the top 10 teams. So they had given up way too many goals last season. They had obviously, like Bam said, in moments where they had to step up in competition, you saw that talent. Paqueta was blossoming last season. He was going off. And then the Musa is a great part of that team, but defensively they just couldn't keep it together. And they've always been consistently a strong team because they've always had such good midfield depth. Like they've always had such a good lineup of midfielders where you're like, damn, these guys can start anywhere. Like Bam's talking about Aouar could be like a $50 million midfielder anywhere in I'm shocked he's not an EPL by now. I'm shocked by that. Like he seems like an easy EPL grab. Like he's has no weaknesses, 2-footed, can do so much.
Look at Bruno Guimaraes. They're saying he's like the best player on Newcastle.
Yeah, Guimaraes was like fighting for starting time at Lyon. Because him and what was I can't pronounce his name, the with the C.
Kakare,
like such another good young defender. They were both in the same position, and Newcastle was able to pick up on that. Kakare is a phenomenal player. Like so, there's so much talent there. I just think that's a good midfielder will keep you consistent, and save you out of some big games, especially with possession. But they just don't really have it defensively, and I don't know what they're gonna do.
They got another young talent too. This guy's a baller, Malo Gusto.
Malo Gusto is a baller too, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have some good players. I could see them challenging this year because they also got Tete also.
Tete's been really good. In the last couple games, I was watching him play. He's going off on that right wing position. They got him off from Shakhtar off alone. He was going crazy out there. He's a speedster. He kind of reminds me of David Neres on Ajax. He has that speed on the wing. He's really dangerous.
They just need the center back. Like you need like one guy, dude. Like just like one dude who can just kind of collect things, and they'd be a lot better.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I would actually just before we move on and talk about Ligue 2. Like it seems like outside of PSG, who can kind of have the money to buy players for each position, defense, midfield, attack. It feels like all the other teams in Ligue 1 are kind of just like, all right, we're going to either specialize in attack, we're going to specialize in midfield, we're going to specialize in defense. Now, kind of our goalkeeper. Is that kind of like the running theme in Ligue 1? It's like, all right, and I guess more so equated more so to like MLS in the sense of like where you specialize in just one, you're kind of like relying on either the youth to come through and build up areas that you're lesser in, or you're like, we can kind of go bargain bin in other areas. Is that kind of like the theme I'm getting?
That's a good question. I don't really think so. I just think it's hard to get like a young center back. Like that's not easy. Like players aren't coming up wanting to be a center back. You know what I mean? So it's just tough to find like a young player who's like, yeah, I'm going to be a center back that's like 18, 19, 17. Whereas like you can get a 17-year-old. Ryan Shirky was over there at Lyon, like 17, out there ball hogging. But like somebody, but like looked at as like, oh wow, that guy's really talented. You don't often see somebody that's 17 that you're looking at like, wow, that's a talented center back. So I just feel like it's tough. And they, you know, like a lot of teams like, okay, we want to pair him with an older player, and it's like that doesn't really work all the time. I don't really think that's the case. I just think it's tough to find those young players in those positions that they're not as sexy, I'll say.
Yeah, I think Bam's 100% right. I think it's a difficult position to find a deep talent pool in. I think everybody and their mom wants to be a winger, and then they either end up a striker or a midfielder. And it's like the classic line about Brazil, right? Every single center back Brazil had is someone who didn't work out as a striker. Like that was like the classic line. That's why like a lot of them will have so much talent on their feet and stuff like that, is because they come up playing other positions. You know, Casemiro was a youth team striker in Brazil. Like, so it's funny how these things work out. But I think that France suffers a little bit. That also, I think the lower French teams suffer from not having a good pipeline to South American players. They don't really have that good of a pipeline with the visas. You know, the players are able to really cross over into playing in Portugal and playing in England. You know, like some of the players that have come up through there, and like Martinelli going over to Arsenal, and then even Spain. Like Kaique just made his debut for Almeria right now. He's an 18-year-old from Santos, like center back. So that it seems like it's hard. It's been harder. Maybe like they're not focused on that, but it seems it would. I don't know if it's necessarily the teams generalize that, but I know that for sure they go, we're going to get players in integral positions for us, and the rest we're down to rely on our youth talent to fill. Like I think that there is a lot of confidence in the youth system in some of the French teams, what those players can bring to the table. And to be fair, they're honestly right, because we see these players that come up through these teams and they go on to the bigger clubs, right? And they make a name for themselves, and Saliba and etc. Like these French players make a name for themselves in the team. So it, in one hand, it's a gamble game, but you see it time and time again where like France is developing a lot of stars, and these guys appear on some of these teams.
One player that I've seen play in France, N'Golo Kante, one of those, played on Caen, I think it was.
Caen, dog.
I think they're like,
Veron came from like
Lens.
Came from Lens, dog, and is playing on Real Madrid. Like it's just it's tough. I think
even Guendouzi came from Lorient. They were in Ligue 2 actually when he went to Arsenal. That's actually why I ended up watching him, because I was like, I want to see if a dude can come from Ligue 2 and actually play in EPL. And I was shocked. I was like, this dude is like doing this thing in EPL. He'd never played a Ligue 1 game in his life.
Isn't that crazy? That's nuts.
Yeah.
Division 2.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. Well, we're on the topic about Ligue 2. Let's go and talk about it, guys. Bordeaux, Saint Etienne. What is going on here? Because these are two teams that are historically top of the table, Ligue 1 teams. They're challenging. They're trying to, it wasn't long ago that we saw Saint Etienne in the Europa League. Now they're relegated. What's going on with these two teams? I think Saint Etienne's got a 3-point deduction. There are rumors about Bordeaux being banished to the 3rd division. Once again, what is going on?
I feel like they probably mismanaged money. Probably COVID hit them hard. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine like there's some crooks there. Like there's Bordeaux is like one of the, like on the low, one of the bigger clubs in France. Saint Etienne is like also a team that's like won a bunch of leagues. I mean, it's been a while, but they won the league a bunch of times. Historic rivalry with Lyon being in the same city. If I had to guess, it's money. But, it can happen like that. I think France, like the competition level, like there's, outside of like PSG, like a lot of those teams aren't that different from each other. Like when I was telling Caesar, like, oh no, Brest is good. Brest just got promoted a couple seasons ago. When you watch them play, you're like, wow, that's a really good team. So like the competition level between like you watch Angers, like Angers is like, I think they just got promoted a couple seasons ago too. You watch them play, it's like this isn't a bad team you're watching. It's not like watching like I'm watching like Brighton, not I don't want to say Brighton Hove, but like you watch like Southampton.
You can say that. You can say that.
Like you watch like some of the lower EPL teams, and like the football is bad. But when you watch like the lower French teams, like it's not bad football. It's just like not the same quality of players as like a PSG or something like that, or athletes. So if I had to guess, it's money. And yeah, for sure it was money with Bordeaux, but I don't really feel sorry for them. Like, who got promoted? Auxerre got promoted. I remember they were in a French Cup final not that long ago.
They're a legendary team. They're a legendary team in France.
Yeah. Who else got promoted?
Ajaccio.
Ajaccio. Like we like to see a Corsican team
get beautiful promoted. Island. I'm trying to visit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even though they're violent and they hit Lucas Moura with that pole that time, and they were comparing PSG to ISIS in their posters. But we like to see a Corsican team, and I think Troyes also.
Toulouse.
Yes, Toulouse. And
they won the Ligue last season.
Yeah, Toulouse used to have Max Gradel, and I will never forget.
Who burned Dani Alves?
He ran by Dani Alves with the ball. Like, these are good teams. Actually, the most emotional I've ever gotten of a Ligue 1 match was Toulouse's relegation match a few seasons ago, where Pascal Duprat, I feel like I can't remember the coach's name. He played a video of all the Toulouse supporters, like, saying, please don't get relegated. Like, we love you. Like, this is our city's team. Like a bunch of supporters. He played this in the locker room, and you see the players, they're like all crying. Like,
damn.
They're all crying before that match, and they go out and win the match and stay in the league. So like, there's a lot of emotion. Some of these are small cities. They got a lot of pride. Whatever. Maybe it's just Bordeaux. Like, it's not your turn anymore. Saint Etienne, it's not your turn anymore. Somebody else got to come up and do it.
I think the outlook is that it sucks. Bordeaux is a really good team, and I've seen them do some really good things, and it didn't work out for them last season. But I think it's because, like Bam said, there's in between the teams that are from like 8 to like the bottom. There's a lot of like hit or miss. There's a lot of parity. There's a lot of like, hey, like there's a lot of balance in which any given day it could be your day on a team like that. And I mean, if you look at Ligue 1 now, there's so many teams on this lineup that you've seen in Ligue 1 before. I think that's more of a testament to the strength of the mid table of the teams, where you're seeing so much turnover, where some teams are like we saw last season. We've seen Bastia in the Ligue 1. We've seen Caen. We've seen
Metz.
We've seen so many teams.
Guingamp.
Yeah, Metz. Like you said, Lyon. Like, there's so many teams that have played in Ligue 1 and done favorably well, and even took PSG with them once or twice. And now it doesn't work out. It's tough. I think it's really tough. We, like Bam said, we support an island team coming in. Corsica, welcome. We love island teams. That's big love to that. Unless you're Las Palmas, that's an African team that they stole.
I think Corsica's really racist too, but
yeah, but it looks really pretty there. So I think that it's more. Also, what you're saying, I think there's like a little bit of like mob war going on there, where some money is moving around where it's not supposed to. Who knows what the investigations will come about with comes to Bordeaux and what happens to them? They might suffer something similar Juventus did, where they got dropped down like 3 divisions and worked their way back up. It's rough out here, but don't think it's only something that's not only for that. It can happen to any team. Atletico Madrid had that 2-season transfer ban, so you never know what could happen.
Right.
was at 3 divisions going out.
Yeah, they went down to they were playing in Idaho or something like that for a while. It was playing out in Boise over there in the blue field,
Oh man, you guys! I will say this: you guys are always know how to make me laugh on this show, regardless. So before we wrap up, guys, I want to get you guys predictions because, like I said before, if anyone knows this league better than y'all, sure. So relegation. Who we think are going to be in the relegation battle? Because this year, unlike years past, there's not 3 teams getting relegated. There's going to be 4. So they're dropping the league from 20 to 18. Who do we think are the 4 teams that are going to be suffering relegation?
I'm going to let Caesar go first.
Relegation, definitely. I think it's going to be the Corsica team. I'm sorry, dog. I don't think it's going to go down this season. They got that old bat and striker. I forgot his name, Romain or something like that. I hate that guy. I hate him so much.
Roman Hamuma.
Yeah, Hamuma. He's going. They're all going like that. I'm sorry. It's really cute. I can't pronounce your name because there's Portuguese in my brain, so I can't pronounce your city. It's just too. There's a J and an A and a C. You're out of here. I think the winner. It's boring to pick PSG. It's a
no. Wait,
pick.
you got to do.
We're just picking losers.
Yeah,
4 relegators.
Yeah.
All right, damn. Well, let's go. Ajaxio for sure. They're out of here. I think another one.
Pull them up. Pull it up.
Okay, I got it here. Alshia's probably gonna be out of here too. Let's go to Brest is out of here, and Claremont Foot, and let's do a surprise one.
Brest is a surprise.
And then the German team, Strasbourg, they're out of here too. All 4 are going to be out of here. Okay. The German club, Strasbourg, they're out of here. That's a German name. You're out of here, dog.
That's ridiculous. Let me do a real one because that was.
They finished like 13th last season, but go off, King. I'm sorry.
Stop it. Okay, I'm gonna say Ajaccio, Auxerre. Claremont. They were kind of good last year.
Claremont Foot's out of here, dog. They're out of here.
Okay, I'm gonna keep I'm gonna say Troyes, but my surprise. This is my surprise. Nantes.
I was about to say. I'm thinking it, man.
Nantes? Okay.
Yeah, because
I've watched 2 of the games so far, and there's been times I'm like,
"Hey, they've been teetering. They've been teetering the last few seasons." I'm like, they won the cup last year, so they're in Europe. I think they're in Europa League group stage, so that's going to be tough for them. I feel like Nantes might mess around and get relegated, but not Brest or
Strasbourg is out of here, dog.
Strasbourg is really
German
good.
Football club. They're gone, dude. They're German.
Strasbourg is good, and so is Brest. Okay,
the team's like named after a hamburger. They're out of here, dog. They're gone. They're gone, dog. They're going to be playing in Idaho.
2 teams you guys think are going to get promoted from League?
Promoted, okay.
Who think?
That's a gangster question. Not Bordeaux. They're probably going to be playing in Brazil. I'm gonna go. I'll go first, man. I got your back.
Okay.
I'll say.
Okay.
I think Metz is gonna come back.
Okay.
Metz is a good team. They have a solid team as well. And I can see Guingamp come back too. Guingamp was a good team. They weren't bad in Ligue. They were not bad. They had the wildest names ever, but Guingamp. But I think they're gonna be back.
Caesar's such a hater and racist.
It's France. What the hell? I don't have on France racism.
A lot of black people speak French.
The original colonizers.
No, actually, your people were. Okay, I'm gonna say Bordeaux's gonna come back.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give it to Metz also.
Is Bordeaux gonna be allowed to come back?
Yeah, I think they will. But I feel like they'll come back and Metz.
I think it's too much drama for them to come back. All that stuff is hell distracting.
No, it is, but I feel like Bordeaux has like they're not gonna get any players in for real, but like they maybe can get like some loaned young players that like some random African winger that are like score like 4 goals when they need it.
All right. And this is a question I ask everyone. This is always a fun question because normally most people don't think about it. But PSG, Marseille with the Champions League. Monaco's dropped down to Europa League. Rennes is in Europa League. Nantes is in Europa Conference League along with Nice. out of those teams, what competition is most likely for France to win?
Let me go.
I'm gonna say Champions League.
Okay,
Most likely for them to win.
Yeah,
I don't
Europa
think- I
Conference
can't
League, Europa League, or Champions League.
I can't see a team. I can't see like Lyon winning. I mean, not Lyon. Wait, is Nantes in Europa or Europa Conference?
Conference.
Really?
Yeah.
And so
Because
is
if you win
Nice,
the cup,
right?
you go straight to conference.
Isn't Nice in
Wow, that's
conference too?
whack.
Yeah, I think they're in
Nice
conference league.
Is Nice in conference also?
Yes, Nice is in conference.
I think
and-
Nice has the best chance in conference league. I think that's I don't think PSG. I don't think PSG is going to get it done in Champions League. I don't think Monaco can pull up. Europa League is actually low key really hard. It's low key really hard. There's some banger teams in there. And those some of those teams made big moves this offseason is going to make them stronger in the league, but they're still in Europa because of last season. So I think that's going to be tough. And Monaco's is looking more for identity when these other teams went and read up in the offseason. Conferences, because I like Nice. I think maybe this will be the blossom year for Bam's favorite player, Thuram. Maybe Casper Dolberg will get it cracking. We'll see what happens.
If they get Cavani, then I'm gonna say Nice. But that travel in Europa and Europa Conference League is wild.
Yeah,
if we're really talking about the
baller Gouri, the Algerian dude, Gouri or something like that.
He's a baller too. I feel like the team with the best chance really is PSG winning Champions League.
Okay, all right, and guys, I just want to say this has been an absolutely fun show. We're over an hour. I think we planned this to be 30 minutes, but it's never going to be the allotted time that we are on.
Oops.
No, Caesar talked a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Guys, thank you guys so much, man. This has been a fun episode. Real quick, where can everyone reach out to you guys and watch your amazing work?
We made it podcast.com. We made it podcast on Twitter. Caesar gets annoyed. I'm the one tweeting on Twitter. Caesar gets annoyed at me.
This dude is just, he's all about stirring the pot on Twitter. This man is, I log on, I'm seeing people screaming in the mentions. I'm like, this is going to be a good read this morning.
I am a bit extra, I agree. But
the number one tweet, live tweeter via game, like game recap.
Yeah, we'll start the live tweets soon. Not yet. It's a little bit too early. Once the transfer windows close, we'll get back on the live tweets. But also, we made it Ceez on Twitter. He's being
you can find me for random tweets where I combat some of the wild stances Bam takes on the We Made It Podcast Twitter account. We made it podcast.com is every single episode we've ever made. Hopefully we edited some of the wild stuff we said before, but you can look through and let us know if you find some wild. So yeah, we made it podcast.com.
No, don't please.
As always, guys, I want to say thank y'all. As listeners, make sure you go check out our website. Link down below. Got some cool stuff coming out for you this year, like a USMNT recap. We're recapping all the African teams going into the World Cup, so be on the lookout for that stuff coming up. And also, we got some excellent stories coming out for you. So, with that being said, for Bam, Ceez, I'm Elliot. We'll holler at you guys next time.